What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Geek Weekly podcast, or welcome if you are new. This week's very special guest is the incredibly talented artist, Julie Amlin.
Woohoo, that's me. Thanks for having me, Lesley.
Thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm feeling good today. It's cold outside, but warm in here, so all good.
Yes, it is colder than I expected it to be here where I
I'm
live.
expecting a lot of snow, so
Really? That's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we started, I just wanted to say I absolutely love all of the reels that you post of you showing the process from beginning to end. It's incredibly calming, but also just incredibly entertaining.
I appreciate that. You know what? I grew up watching Bob Ross. Do you know Bob Ross?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
everybody knows Bob Ross, but he was famous for his, painting on television, and
Mhm.
I loved watching him growing up. And he gave me the same sense that you just described, like very entertaining, very calming. So yeah, I totally feel that vibe as well in my art.
It's incredibly it's just so cool to watch like from start to finish.
Mhm. Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying they like to watch the process, so I love including it in my Instagram feed.
That's so cool. Okay. What is your favorite medium to paint with?
Ooh, it's definitely acrylic paints.
Mhm.
I love acrylics because they have a really fast drying time. So I like to paint kind of fast and furious with lots of layers and lots of really thick paint and get really messy, and they dry really fast. So it allows me to do that.
That's so like that they dry fast, that's incredibly convenient.
Yeah.
Okay, what city commissioned you to do art around their city?
Ooh, so right now, mostly Toronto.
Hmm.
I've done a mural in Victoria in a private collection for a friend's home, but mostly in Toronto. So I actually have some pinpointed murals on the map of Toronto, and you can do like a Julie Amlin art walk. Well, maybe you need a car, but around the city, it's pretty fun.
That's incredibly cool.
Yeah. So I've also applied to some mural festivals.
Oh,
There's a Vancouver mural festival, Chilliwack, some places in BC. So we'll see. I'm just, open to all the places.
that
Maybe
is
some warm
so
places. Let's go for that.
maybe a little bit warmer, yeah.
Yeah.
So what is one of the most challenging things with painting outside?
Ooh, definitely the elements. In Toronto, you have a mural season because you can't paint when it's super cold. The paint won't adhere to the wall properly or whatever you're painting on. And in the summer, if it's too hot and humid, it also will stay tacky too long. Or obviously, you can't paint in the rain. So the elements are definitely one of the biggest challenges. And while I love painting in public, everybody walking by has a question. So you end up having a lot of conversations, which again, I love, but it does slow down your process a little bit.
I can see how it would with all the questions.
Yeah.
Um, what is your most favorite apparel collab that you have done so far?
Ooh, that's a tough one. But I think I will have to choose the onesie with Unichill wear.
Mhm.
Um, I like doing collabs with people, places, things that I enjoy. So I have to love the person to work with them. I have to love the product to put my art on it. And I really love comfort and I love chilling out. I love wearing pajamas pretty much all day if I can. And
Yeah.
my kids are the same. I have two kids.
Mhm.
So when I had the opportunity to do that onesie, I thought, oh my goodness, head to toe comfort and a wild piece of art. There's a butt zipper. Like hilarious. It's so fun and so quirky. So I love that one.
That
And we're
just
doing a new one this year too. So
oh, really? That just I adore onesies, and you've done so many different collabs, and they're all just like
just fun.
so fun and
Yeah.
colorful.
Yeah.
So so I've looked through your Instagram, but for those who have not, can you explain what Art Battle is and how many times have you done it?
Yeah, so Art Battle is a really cool event. It's a live art event where people buy tickets and show up, and then there are 2 rounds of artists. I believe there's 6 of us in each round.
Mhm.
So you show up, every artist who's participating gets like the same size canvas on an easel. All the artists are on a stage, and then you get 20 minutes. It is so fast and so furious. 20 minutes to create a piece of art. And so in the first round, there are 2 winners, and the audience votes on it. I believe they live stream it as well. So you can watch online and vote, or you can be there and vote in person.
Mhm.
And then there are 4 winners, 2 from each round, and they battle head to head in the final to have like an art battle winner for the evening. It's really cool. And then everybody there votes, sorry, not votes, they can bid on the art that you create so they can actually buy it the night of, which is pretty neat.
That is so interesting. Like,
It's such a fun night, and everyone who goes has such a fun time. The whole audience kind of like circles around you like a whirlwind. So they're
oh,
all watching each of the artists like just bring these pieces to life.
that
So,
is such
mhm,
an interesting like experience. It's so
it is.
so what it was it like competing?
Well, it's funny. A lot of artists come with something in mind, at least probably 2 pieces that they have
Mhm.
planned. But because my art is very abstract and intuitive, I show up with no plan. I just show up with paint and assume something something worthwhile will come out in those 20 minutes.
Mhm.
But I love the rush of the music and the audience and all of that. It is a bit jarring at first, but very much my style of painting anyway. So I just love it. I've done it. How many times have I done it? Maybe 4, 5 times.
Oh, wow.
Still have not won yet, but I've been to the final round a couple times, so getting there.
That is cool that you get to have like you've had many experiences with it.
Mhm. Yeah, I love participating. It's fun. But
It
they do
sounds
these
like a lot.
all around the world too. So
Really?
Toronto's not the only city. Yeah, that's the fun part. So they do them honestly every major city around, and then you can advance. So if you win the Toronto battle, I believe you go to a provincial, to a country, and then eventually they do like I believe a world championship.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
That is incredibly impressive.
Fun.
Okay, so a lot of artists that I know have talked about dealing with imposter syndrome as being a barrier in their creativity. Have you ever dealt with that?
Absolutely. I think as an artist, you kind of have to make friends with imposter syndrome. It's something that's always there, it's always it's like the little guy on your shoulder just telling you stuff that doesn't um doesn't ring true, but you might believe along the way.
Mhm.
It shows up in my practice through my process because like I said, I paint intuitively and I don't actually enjoy my artwork until almost the very end of a piece. So I struggle through, my family will attest to this. I struggle through a piece. I enjoy the process of painting,
Mhm.
but I don't necessarily love what I've created until like the details part at the very end, which I'd say is like 85% of the way there. I sort of like lean into it and be like, oh, I see what's forming. I like it visually.
Mhm.
So in that first 85% of the time, my mind can say things like, what is this? You don't even know what you're doing. What does this look like? There's a lot of thoughts that go through that I just have to ignore and go, Julie, it's like this every single time. You know you'll arrive at something. Just stay with it.
Yeah. I can imagine how just like with a blank canvas it can be hard to if you're just putting color on canvas it can be very thoughts could not be the best thoughts for sure.
Not always,
Yeah.
exactly. And it takes a lot of trust to just keep working at something that, if you're painting a tree, you'll know partway through, this is looking like a tree. This has
Yeah.
good shadows, good lighting, the leaves look realistic, whatever it is you're looking for. But when it's abstract, you don't have quite the same map to work with.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It does. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, you once painted at an event wearing a white ball gown.
Mhm.
what did you do with the ball gown when it was over? Because that was almost as beautiful as the painting.
That was so much fun because I showed up in that white ball gown and all the guests, I think it caused them some anxiety because they were like, how are you going to paint in this beautiful dress and not get any paint on it?
Mhm.
But then that was actually part of the performance was that I covered it in paint and made a mess of it. And it was so
Mhm.
much fun. I still have the dress. It's hanging in storage at the moment, but I keep thinking one day it would be a really cool show to show a piece of work and then show the video footage of me painting in it and have the dress on display, or maybe auction it off one day for charity, something like that. So we'll see.
Either or,
Maybe
I
I'll
think
just
are great
it.
ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if you were to define your artwork, like categorize it, how would you?
Mhm. That one's tough. Abstract first and foremost, but I think it does fall into uh, abstract landscape or impressionist landscape because a lot of times what takes shape looks something like a landscape. Like you look at it and think, I could walk around in there. That looks like some mountains, or that looks, there's some
Mhm.
sort of like groundedness and a sky. I feel like it really does that, but there's behind it is so much emotion. So I think people see landscapes, but also feel the energy of the emotion that I infuse into it.
And that I think that is something that is incredibly like powerful too.
Mm.
To as you can like associate an emotion with the painting.
I think so. And I think what's really important for me, and I think this is why I love abstract, is it's important for my work to leave room for the viewer to have their own interpretation
Mhm.
and not it be so clear cut that it's attached to me. Like,
Yeah,
obviously, the artist is important, but I'd love for someone like you to look at it and feel your own emotions and be able to get in there and have your own meaning from the art.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
So, what was it like collabing with Bag and Shoes on your custom Converse?
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Again, I told you I know what I love, and so I have these brainstorming sessions with myself where I'm like, what would be so much fun? What would I love?
Mhm.
And I wear Converse, I wear Chucks almost every day of the year. Rain, shine, snow, blizzard, whatever. I've got some Chucks on my feet. So I thought
Yeah.
that would be really fun. And they do custom Chucks. So I reached out to them, put on my brave hat, just reached out to them and worked on a collab with them. And it was so fun to get that box in the mail and open up a pair of Chucks and see my
Mhm.
artwork on it. It was really, really fun. And I will tell you, I got a lot of cool points from my kids when that happened as well. Oh, that was
I
fun.
I think that it's just I personally I have 2 pairs of Converse, I wear them every day,
Yeah,
daily,
they go
24/7,
with everything.
anywhere.
They go
Like
with everything. I had a pair of
Mhm.
Chucks on under that white ball gown you saw. I had my Chucks on underneath. It was like my secret. I hadn't released them yet.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could have lunch with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. That is a really tough question. Ooh. See, I have to think of their personalities. I okay, I'm gonna say Frida Kahlo. And the reason being, I do have quite a soft spot in my heart for feminism, and she was such an icon for feminism, but I'm not sure at the time if she realized it. Like, did she know at the time that she was? I would love to ask her a lot of questions about that.
Mhm.
And her artwork was so attached to difficult emotions in her life. I would love to ask her a lot about how the art helped her through the difficult life that she had versus where my art comes from a lot of emotions that are rooted in joy and fun. Hers was so
Mhm.
different. It was rooted in pain and suffering and finding herself within that. So I think I would have some really wonderful conversations with her about all of that. And it would be fascinating.
I think that would be such a like a great person to ask questions to because
Mhm.
she is such a truly iconic figure in history.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it'd be fascinating. Sometimes we put people on a pedestal now, but I always wonder in their lifetime, did they know
Mhm.
what a difference they made? And probably the answer is often no, you know.
Yeah. All right. So
Mm.
I am going to ask you some questions that I had people submit on my Instagram.
Oh, I can't wait.
All
Ask me all the things.
right, let me pull it up. Okay. This question is, what made you decide to step out and pursue art full time?
Okay. I always think to be an artist didn't really feel like a decision to me. I think I was born an artist. I was always creative as a kid and always trying to actually rein it in because maybe teachers or maybe society was making me think that and I came from a very small town, I should say that. And it maybe the opportunities for artists in that small town were not so large and I don't know. I hate saying that, but that's the truth of when I grew up. There weren't many opportunities for artists. So I was trying to be practical. And I did graphic design for years and marketing, but like the pull to art and traditional art was always there. And it was always this like, it was painful. It was like being apart from a child. So when I would always come back to art, it felt like my true self and my true essence.
Mhm.
So eventually that just won me over and I stopped fighting trying to be so practical and just went back to my true self. So
That
it
is
felt not so much like a choice, but like
yes. Like just like something you had to do.
absolutely. Yeah.
That is I'm so glad that you got to fully pursue what you love.
Yeah.
Okay, this question is from Mia and it is, how do you get inspiration for each project and keep it fresh?
Ooh. Yeah, I think because I had such a hiatus from painting and didn't paint for almost a decade while I
Oh,
was raising
wow.
my kids, um, it made me, when I came back to art, I was so appreciative. It just felt like an explosion of creativity. So I don't know that I've quite come down from that. But I'm finding that the more time I spend in nature, while that sounds pretty typical, Mother Nature to me really is the most exquisite artist. So when you look at like tropical fish and the colors and the patterns and
Mhm.
the textures of scales, like I find that so inspiring every time. Or like even the patterns on leaves and the colors of animals, it always refreshes me. So if I feel a little stagnant, maybe a trip or maybe it's just a walk outside where I can really like observe, it always refreshes my inspiration.
That is I think there are lots of colors in nature that do help with that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. This question is from Venya and it's kind of falls under the same and it is,
Okay.
what inspires your artwork?
And yeah, okay. Definitely color is at the root of it. And I think for me, like, that's obvious. And I use color to express my emotions. So it's a mixture of sometimes being able to say something in a nonverbal way, but through color.
Mhm.
So it's always inspired by how I'm feeling. And it's almost like it's like that conversation that maybe you don't want to have out loud and in words or put into writing because it might feel vulnerable, but it feels like a space where, hey, I can say this without words and express that in a painting, and the colors say it all.
That is truly inspirational in my opinion.
Oh, well,
I
thank
think
you.
I think the fact that you get to express yourself in your art is
Mhm,
truly like a powerful thing that you get to experience.
mhm. Yeah, it is.
Okay, this is the last question, and it is from Kingston, and it is, what made you pursue this career? Which, yeah.
I know. Yeah, we've touched on it. So it does go back to having to be honest with myself about where my passion really
Mhm.
was, and that was with art, traditional art. And then what made me pursue it was I got so sick of not having the life I knew was calling me to have. My inside, my soul were calling me to have this bigger life that felt more true to myself. And ignoring it was not making me feel great about my day to day. And so at some point, I just had to say, okay, to heck with it. It's time to be brave. It's time to stop listening to those little voices and actually listen to my heart, which, yeah, maybe is quieter, but is much more authentic and is telling me it's time to paint. It's time to be yourself. It's time to just lean into all of that creativity and give that to the world. And, you know, it's going to take you someplace good, and just trusting that it's going to take me someplace good, because is your heart ever going to call you to something that wouldn't?
No.
My answer would undoubtedly say no. It's never going to call you to something that wouldn't. So that's what made me pursue it. Just an ounce of bravery and a big step forward.
That is incredibly cool. Like,
Mhm.
just that you felt that you could step out and pursue what you truly love and what your heart calling was.
Absolutely. And eventually it's just about letting that inner voice be stronger than anything else on the outside of you.
Mhm.
So, you know, if I was pursuing art and still maybe not selling paintings at the beginning, still trusting it and still moving forward, you know, and just letting that momentum take whatever time it's going to take, because I know in my heart that's what I'm meant to do.
That is I'm just so grateful that you got to do that, that you get to pursue what you love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite a fun life.
Okay, so this is um who is your favorite Muppet and why?
My favorite Muppet, Gonzo.
I love Gonzo, yes.
Muppet, right?
Yes.
I love his face.
That is valid reasoning.
I love the color. I love his weird nose. I could
Mhm.
watch him all day. Some of them have some attitudes, but Gonzo, I could handle Gonzo all day. Yeah.
That is such valid reasoning, and I love it.
That's all I've got.
Okay, so this is the little tagline of the whole show. And Julie, what do you geek out about?
Okay. Oh, there's so many answers to this. Okay. I'm gonna go a little unconventional, and I'm gonna tell you I geek out about dill pickles.
I love that.
I love dill pickles. So I like anything dill. I want dill pickle salad, dill pickle chips, dill pickle hummus, dill pickles just on their own. I
Yeah.
mean, bacon wrapped all the dill pickles. Just that's what I'd like.
I
Yep.
love I
Like
love pickles so much. They're so good.
I've even made dill pickle soup, and it's dreamy. I'll be honest.
I have never had dill pickle soup,
You
I
should
must
try
say.
it. The recipe.
That I Pickles are just so good. Anybody who doesn't like pickles is just insane, in my opinion. Because I have met people who hate pickles, and I'm just like, there's
Yeah.
something wrong with you.
I'm like, who are you? Can we have a long-term relationship if you don't like dill pickles? I'm not sure. Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Julie, for
Thank you
being
for
here with us
having
today.
me.
Yes, thank you so much for being here with us today. This was an incredibly fun episode for me. Um, and I hope for the viewers that it was for y'all as well. But I will see all of y'all next week. Have a great week, everybody. And thank you so much, Julie, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. This was such a fun conversation. I'll watch all your future episodes.
Thank you. All right, bye, everybody.